Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Microphone Messiah, and welcome to your recap for the WWE Hall of Fame classes. Yes, classes of 2020 and 2021. Now, I bet you're wondering why are you doing a Hall of Fame recap? Nobody cares about the Hall of Fame. Well, I care. It's about honoring the men and women who laced up a pair of boots and got in the ring and entertained us for a number of years through the tenure and the duration of their careers in the squared circle. Now, of course, we do have some celebrities going into the Hall of Fame, and I've been vocal about it. I believe the Hall of Fame should only be for, like I said, the men and women that laced up a pair of boots and got in the squared circle. But I guess WWE is just so big; it's an international phenomenon, as Rich Herring said in his induction when he won the Warrior Award, which we're going to talk about. It's become so much of an international phenomenon. I guess you can have a celebrity wing. They have a legacy wing, which we're going to talk a little bit about that. That's awesome. And yeah, man, we're gonna jump right into it, man. One of the best parts about WrestleMania week is always the Hall of Fame. I enjoyed it as a kid. When they would air the shortened version on USA. I'd love watching like Bret Hart or Steve Austin or Bob Orton, guys like that go in. It was just cool to see the. I guess I've always been a fan of the history of the business ever since I was a kid. You could say, you know, just watching these guys, get their flowers, as we like to say in the community nowadays. Get their flowers and be recognized for the time and tenure they spent inside the squared circle. So here we go. The list of inductees. We have Kane, RVD, Molly Holly, the New World Order, the Bella Twins, JBL, the Great Khali, the British Bulldog, Eric Bischoff, Jushin Thunder Liger, William Shatner in the Celebrity Wing, Ozzy Osbourne in the Celebrity Wing, Titus O'Neil and Rich Herring are receiving the Warrior Awards for 2020 and 2021. Now we kick things off with the first inductee for the 2020 class, none other than John Bradshaw Layfield. The video package that played focused mostly on his time with the APA and his run as the WWE Champion. He spoke about how he always knew he wanted to become a professional wrestler, and now, as a kid, he finally got to pursue his dream after his football career ended. He credited guys like Dick Murdoch and the Von Erichs and Bob Orton for teaching him how to generate heat. And he told a story about Finley scaring off a knife welding attacker one time just by looking at him. JBL took a moment to say that his career wouldn't have been possible without Eddie Guerrero. He called Ron Simmons his best friend and talked about some of his greatest rivals. He did a good job of keeping it short by hitting all the big points. And that was another thing, man. All these people, this whole Hall of Fame was 3 hours on the dot, and they got all these people inducted, which I thought was cool. The speeches were like no more than 5 minutes. I think Kane's was the longest because he was the last person out to be inducted overall in the night. But I think that I think it was fine. They hit it right on the head. Nobody got to induct them. The host Jerry Lawler or Kayla Braxton and Corey Graves, they said our next inductee, and then they said a little bit about them, said their name. The video package played, and then they come out and give their speech, and we move on to the next one. So it was pretty smooth. It was pretty smooth. Going back to JBL, he he says he was always good on camera. He kept his promise to not shed any tears and ended his speech by refusing to apologize to anybody for being himself. JBL, that's classic Bradshaw. Congratulations, man. I remember I liked Teal secretly as a child, but me and my friends we just did not like JBL, and that means he did his job to the best of his ability. He did it excellently. I remember him. I forget who he was talking to, but he called somebody the fruit booty. That's always stuck in my mind. Whenever I see JBL, I hear that, and I hear him call himself a wrestling god. So congratulations to Bradshaw, well deserved. Next up, we have the British Bulldog going into the Hall of Fame, and so his wife Diana, his daughter Georgia, and of course his son Harry Smith, and they brought a bulldog out. I think the bulldog's name is Matilda. Oh, it looked like Matilda, the old bulldog that the British Bulldogs used to have as their mascot. But yeah, Harry Smith, he did the majority of the talking. Oh no, he did all the talking for the induction speech. So I mean, it was cool, man. You know, the video package featured stars like Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, and Drew McIntyre. Talked about the epic career of the British Bulldog, and Harry. You know, he was speaking on the family's behalf. He talked about Bulldog's athleticism and his wonderful personality. He said he was proud to carry on his father's name. If this was live, there would have been chance to sign him to a WWE contract, which is true, man. There probably would have been. I mean, Harry, he's gone on the Independents and he's gone to MLW and stuff like that, and he's been tearing it up. So, and I think he's been at Bloodsport a couple times. Hey, man, you know, let's. I'd love to see him have another run in WWE. But yeah, man, he gave a great speech to honor his dad. Uh, he didn't have enough time to truly capture, you know, how special the British Bulldog was as a performer. But hey, man, 5 minutes goes by pretty quick, and you know he got the job done. So congratulations to the British Bulldog taking his rightful place in the WWE Hall of Fame. Yeah, man. I mean, let's look at the Hart Foundation. Bulldog's in, Brett, the Anvil's in. I don't think Brian Pillman's in there yet. Hopefully he gets inducted soon, and then you know we know the case with Owen. It's just not gonna happen. But it was nice to see the Bulldog go in. I mean, Wembley, SummerSlam 1992, probably one of the most famous, not just WWE events, probably just one of the most famous wrestling events. You know, I mean that was cool for Bulldog to main event in England for the Intercontinental Championship and beat his brother-in-law Bret Forth. I mean that's awesome, man. The next inductee is the legendary Jushin Thunder Liger. Yes, Liger retired in 2020, January 5th, I believe. The second day of Wrestle Kingdom, he hung up the mask for good. This was cool, man. He was the limelight of WCW in their light heavyweight division for quite some time. Obviously, he made a name for himself in Japan and New Japan and all that other stuff. Liger appeared remotely he appeared remotely from Tokyo to accept his induction. They said he had goosebumps, and this was the first time he had been nervous in front of a mic. The masked superstar closed out his speech in English to thank all the fans from WWE and around the world. He looked truly honored to be recognized for his career achievements. Hey, man, one of the greatest, probably the greatest light heavyweight or cruiserweight in the history of the sport, man. I mean, what an 11-time light heavyweight champion. As the siren goes off, if you can hear it, Big Papa Pump's on his way. Hopefully, he gets in the Hall of Fame soon. Yeah, I mean, an 11-time light heavyweight champion over in New Japan. I think he holds the record also for 600 consecutive days as champion in one of those reigns, which is absolutely impressive. The next up, we have the celebrity wing. We are welcoming William Shatner, who is 90 years old, which I didn't know that. My mother had to tell me that. I'm like, he looks great to be 90 years old, and he seems very coherent. He didn't slur his words. He didn't stutter. Like Shatner hasn't lost a beat, man. So yeah, he also appeared pre-recorded to accept his induction into the Hall of Fame. He said he first became a fan of wrestling in Canada. He said he was from Montreal. We know what kind of a history Montreal has with professional wrestling. He became friends with a lot of WWE superstars over the years. Captain Kirk kept it short and sweet. There's nothing else to report. Congratulations, William Shatner, being inducted into the celebrity wing of the WWE Hall of Fame. Next up, you can look but you can't touch. The Bella Twins are the next inductees into the 2020 class of the Hall of Fame. Dude, I remember that episode of SmackDown in '08. It was Victoria and Natalia. They were wrestling Brie, and then Brie goes under the ring, and Victoria's pulling one end, and Natalia's pulling the other, and she's like really long. We're like, what's going on? And then Nikki pops out, and you're like, oh, there's two of them. Hey man, twin magic. It worked. They got to the Hall of Fame, and I know people have been critical about them going in, but you look at it, man. They were on top of their game. They were the face of the division for like 6 years. You know, they were both the world champion. I mean, Nikki with the longest run as the Divas champion. And hey, man, I mean, they became more famous than a lot of the guys. You know, with the success of Total Divas and Total Bellas. You know, to put their private lives on television like that, and to gain more notoriety, not just for themselves, the brand, the Bella Army, but for WWE, for the company as a whole, man. Like, I've talked to a couple people who aren't wrestling fans, but they've watched Total Divas, and so they don't know Daniel Bryan, they just know Bryan, or they don't know Jimmy Uso, they just know John Fatu. You know what I'm saying? So congratulations to them. So I mean, they had about a 5 minute speech as well, and their video package included a lot of their biggest highlights and a few people talking about how important they were to the women's revolution. And yeah, man, like the Bellas got good at the end. Like I remember being there for their one-on-one match, Hell in the Cell 2014. It was a pretty good match. I thoroughly enjoyed it, man. So hey, man, the Bellas got good at the end. You can't deny they put in the work, and I mean. They busted their asses to get to where they are. So hey man, I'm incredibly proud of them. They spoke about being twins in the business together and how they got their first chance to pursue professional wrestling as a career. They sounded like they rehearsed, but their speech was cohesive and it hit all the right notes. Sometimes it pays to plan ahead. They made sure to name several other women who helped them along the way, like Beth Phoenix and Paige. Like everyone else at the ceremony, they seemed elated to be inducted in the Hall of Fame. Congratulations to them. And Nikki, she thanked Big Match John Cena, and that was really cool because I mean, I don't think we saw like how much he helped her like to understand the wrestling business on Total Divas or Total Bellas, but because they really just focused on like the private life and John's rules and whatnot. But hey, man, that was a class act, and of course Bree thanked Daniel Bryan. I mean, to have those two guys, to be under the tutelage of the face of the company and Bryan, one of the best technical wrestlers to ever do it. I mean, that's a great learning tree to be under. So, congratulations to the Bella Twins on their induction to the WWE Hall of Fame. Haters gonna hate, but Bella's gonna ball, baby. Next up, we have the Warrior Award recipient Titus O'Neil. I kind of wanted to bark a little bit. Kind of wanted it a little bit. He tried to do the millions of dollars dance with Jerry Lawler when he got out there. Yeah, Titus hasn't wrestled a lot. I mean, in the last couple of years, he's been really an ambassador for WWE, a brand ambassador. I mean, he kind of hosted WrestleMania a little bit last year with Gronk, but this was cool, man. You've heard about all the good work and you've seen all the great work Titus has done, not just in Tampa, but for WWE as a whole. Yeah, man. So the former NFL player came out and danced with the King for a moment before talking about his life growing up in poverty. He said the first time somebody showed him that they loved him and believed in him, he turned his life around and was and started working hard. He ended up being a successful college athlete and graduated with honors from the University of Florida before going to the NFL. Yeah, man, he was the first person in his family to graduate high school and college. Like that's crazy. That's awesome. That's an awesome accomplishment. O'Neil spoke passionately about how he believes that there was no such thing as a bad kid, and it's how and how if his mission to help how it's his mission to help as many families as possible. He thanked WWE for giving him the platform to help. This was one of the most inspirational speeches that we have seen at the Hall of Fame ceremony. If you didn't watch the show, take the time to go back and listen to this one, man. It was great. He talked about how he overcame so much, and he thanked his boys. Was it TJ and Titus? Hey man, it was great. I thoroughly enjoyed the speech. It was really moving. Congratulations to Titus O'Neil, man. The first ever 24/7 champion. Former World Tag Team Champion. Congratulations to the big dog. Sorry, Roman. Congratulations to Titus O'Neil, man. Aura. All right, the last inductees into the 2020 class of the WWE Hall of Fame are the New World Order. Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and X-Pac. Yeah, man. I mean, I'm not going to get into the whole Hogan thing here. But I mean, the NWO, man, they changed the business. They did. You have Razor Ramon jumping over to WCW, going under the real name of Scott Hall. Diesel coming over 6 days later or a week later as Kevin Nash, his government name, as the people like to say. And the third man, dude. The third man was going to be Sting, but Hogan, he got rid of the red and yellow, put on the black and white, and they took over, man. They were cool. I mean, I wasn't watching during that time, obviously, because I was an infant and I was a toddler. But hey, man, like you go back and watch the stuff on Peacock, no longer the network, or YouTube, and you just hear people from that who were growing up in that era talk about it. It was a special time. You were either NWO for life or you were DX, and a lot of people favorite the NWO over DX, man. So it was cool. So let's get into it. X Pac Six, Sean Waltman. He was the first to speak about how Six had a bigger impact on any of his other characters in pro wrestling. Yeah, he talked about how if Triple H said the 1-2-3 Kid was joining DX, it wouldn't have had a bigger impact as if it was if when Six joined the D Generation X. So that was cool. Hall and Nash both spoke about how it took all of their about how it took all of the right ingredients and the right time for the whole New World Order idea to work. I liked how Kevin Nash was like, if the Diamond Stud and Vinny Vegas had invaded WCW, then it wouldn't have worked at all. I mean, they were already in WCW at earlier points, but if they were to try to do the New World Order thing, it wouldn't have worked at all. Hogan talked about the transition from babyface to heel and how the group made it possible. He joked about having one more run before ending it by saying that they were too sweet. Considering four guys had to speak, they did an excellent job of making it brief but enjoyable. It was kind of funny seeing Hogan dance around with that was a clearly plastic world title. He said it was the real world title, which I'm gonna have to agree with Hogan with that one. I'm not it's not he was talking about the Universal title not being the real world championship. WWE title, realest world championship in the game, baby. But that big gold, man, it's something special. It is something special. All right, next up we move over to the 2021 Hall of Fame class. So Caleb Braxton and Corey Graves host this one. Jerry Lawler hosted the 2021. And yeah, so the first inductee is none other than the whole effing show, Mr. Monday Night, now possibly Mr. Hall of Fame, even though I thought Shawn Michaels already had that moniker. It's Rob Van Dam. And yes, I did the thumb thing while I said his name. Got to keep it alive. Got to give you people the visuals. I actually met RVD a couple years ago at a show, man. He was super chill. He was a really kind dude. Took the time to talk to me. Hey, one of my favorites, man. I loved RVD. Still love Rob Van Dam. Want to see him have another run in WWE. I know there was some there was a visual impalement because of his concussions to where you couldn't pass the test, but I mean, time heals all wounds. We see what it's done. Time is healed for guys like Edge and Daniel Bryan. So I don't know, man. Hopefully, enough time has gone by to where we can get RVD to have one more run in the WWE. So the master of the 5-star frog splash came out in a sharp black suit with a pink tie combo and to accept his Hall of Fame induction. He talked about how the only reason he was there is the love of the fans, the love that the fans have for him. He remembered the day his father died and how he had an autograph signing the same day. He chose not to tell anyone about his personal situation and used the love he felt from the fans to get through it. It was a heartfelt story that would have produced some tears from a live crowd. Hey, I'm sure the virtual crowd was tearing up too. He took the time and made sure he thanked all the people who had an impact on his career. RVD made sure to single out Sabu. He said that he couldn't think of a better high than doing a five-star frog splash. And he said, I would know about a good high, right? Which I chuckled at that. But yeah, man, I mean, congratulations to Rob Van Dam. You could tell he was genuinely honored to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and that's what this is about, man. Once you've done all that there is to do in the business, and you get that adulation from your peers and the fans. That's what this is all about. Probably, we talk about people talk about Seth Rollins cash in at Mania being probably the best, and my personal favorite is the Ziggler cash in. But hey, man, that RVD cash in, he told Cena at One Night Stand, ECW, Hammerstein Ballroom, I'm cashing in. And hey, man, he was WWE. He won the WWE title. He was WWE champion and ECW champion at the same time. That was cool. That was a cool sight to see for the little bit for that little bit of time. So congratulations to Rob Van Dam, the whole effing show. Congratulations, brother. Honestly, I'm incredibly happy for you, and I think all the wrestling fans around the world are happy for you. Next up, a woman that ushered in helped usher in the movements going into the women's revolution. Molly Holly, I mean, she was one of those women back in the day during that Divas era that could really work. and we hear stories about how she was just so great to work with, and how she's just genuinely a nice human being. And we've heard about the story of how she helped Beth Phoenix get into the business and pay for some training. If you've watched Beth Phoenix's Icons doc, or even if you watched Beth Phoenix's Hall of Fame induction. So yeah, man. I mean, Mighty Molly immediately mentioned she having shaved her head at WrestleMania, made a joke about her being more legendary than Vince McMahon, which I got a little chuckle out of that. That was really cool. She listed off several names who had an effect had an effect or a hand in her direct training before she thanked the WWE Universe for embracing her at a time when women were not as popular in pro wrestling. Her speech was short, but the smile never left her face. This was one of the few times when nobody would have complained if the inductee took an hour because she was that beloved. That's true, man. She took some time to thank the WWE crew and listed off several names of people who would never be mentioned on television under normal circumstances. That's also true. This is how great this woman is. She took the time to acknowledge all of the unsung heroes who impacted her life in a positive way. If you are not familiar with Holly's career, please take the time to look her up. She did incredible work for WWE and helped a lot of people along the way. Yes, the two-time Women's World Champion. Congratulations to Mighty Molly Holly on her induction into the WWE Hall of Fame. All right, next up is the Great Khali. Yep, the Punjabi Playboy's in the Hall of Fame. Moving on, we have Ozzy Osbourne, the leader of Black Sabbath, the man who's responsible for the crazy train of rock and roll. Osbourne appeared in a video, via video. He was at his home in Los Angeles. He said he's always been a WWE fan. He thanked Triple H for his induction into the Hall of Fame. The video package covered all of the major highlights from his WWE appearances over the years. This was the shortest speech of the night, but with the time constraints WWE had in place, this was probably for the best. It was odd that WWE did not announce his induction sooner, but it's possible that the company was waiting until they had a recorded speech from him confirmed. So next up, we have the Eric Bischoff, the guy that tried to put Vince McMahon out of business. I mean, to think about that, for 83 weeks, he beat Vincent Kennedy McMahon in the ratings. He almost won the war, you know. WCW ended, his time there was done, and then he comes to become the general manager of Raw in 2002, and then you get to 2005, Vince fires him and takes out the trash personally dumps Bischoff into the garbage truck. I mean, it was so cool. I remember watching that as a kid. It was such a cool spot, such a cool moment and segment. But hey, man, I popped when I heard the "I'm Back" music. I've always loved that music. I love Eric Bischoff. I let him pass me on an escalator in Caesars at Starcast. And it was a brief. I was like, "How you doing, sir?" He's like, "I'm doing well. What about you?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm alright." Quick little exchange with the Bish, and I loved it. So yeah, the video package was heavily influenced by the NWO phase of his life in WCW, while still covering his entire career in just a few minutes. He started off by making a reference to 3 Minute Warning, which I thought was cool. As a tribute to the late Matt Anoa'i and Eddie Fatu, Rosie and Umaga, or they were Jamal and I can't remember the other name. But Rosie and Umaga, that's who he was making the reference to. It was a nice gesture that probably meant a lot to the Anoa'i family. The former president of WCW talked about getting into the business and how many lessons he had to learn along the way. He said every amazing thing he has gotten to do was because he had the privilege of standing on the shoulders of giants. It was a rare moment of humility from the man who once challenged Vince McMahon to a shoot fight on WCW Nitro. Congratulations to Eric Bischoff. Go listen to 83 Weeks podcast with him and Conrad. And congratulations, Bischoff, member of the WWE Hall of Fame. We get to the next Warrior Award for 2021. It is Rich Herring. So, he's been a longtime employee for WWE. He began his career with Vincent J. McMahon, Mr. McMahon's father, over 50 years ago, and has continued to work with the company on a corporate level. His video package highlighted him as a judge and a member of the New York Athletic Commission as a part of WWE's national expansion. A lot of people shared their love for him in their video package before he came out onto the stage. He made a quick speech and looked touched to receive the honor. Yeah, man, he actually was the Reverend for SummerSlam. What was it, '91? The wedding between Miss Elizabeth and the Macho Man Randy Savage. So that was cool. He's an ordained official. That's awesome. Congratulations, Rich Herring. You know, the Warrior Award. It's cool for things like that. The unsung heroes behind the scenes of WWE. I know Sue Atchison got one, and then other people have got one, like Lil JJ Robinson, of course, Connor the Crusher. I mean that's cool. You know, nobody should really have a problem with the Warrior Award. So congratulations to Rich Herring. Now we move to the final inductee of the 2021 Hall of Fame class and the final inductee overall for the Hall of Fame ceremonies. It's Kane, the big red monster, the man who brought hell, fire, and brimstone to the WWE. I mean, you look at it, man. Glenn Jacobs was Unabomb. He was Dr. Isaac Yankem DDS, which he said his mother loved the gimmick, and he was also fake Diesel. And like he was on the end of his rope. And then to be given this character of Kane, and the Kane character's so cool, man. I mean, you look at it. The guy was supposedly burned alive by his brother, the Undertaker. Finds out that Paul Bearer is his real father. He wears a mask because he feels like he's scarred and he's ugly. And then he takes off his mask, and he doesn't look that bad, but he feels disgusting and scarred on the inside. I mean, he what tried to jumpstart Shane McMahon's testicles. You know, he tombstoned Pete Rose. He tombstoned a priest. You know, the three-time world champion did so much. I remember my first wrestling show I ever went to. It was a Monday Night Raw in the Oracle Arena in Oakland, California. My mom and I, we were up in the cheap seats, and we were kind of cool. We were kind of cold. And Kane's music hit and that pyro hit. Hey, my mom and I, we got warmed up real quick. I remember that like it was yesterday. I know she does too. Congratulations to Kane, man. 3 times the world champion. That's crazy. You know, well, when you have a career like that, you don't really need to be the champion. Remember his first title run was only 24 hours, but I mean he got the title 2 more times after that. Impressive matches with the likes of guys like Edge and Rey Mysterio battling them over the world title and stuff like that. Multiple time tag team champion, intercontinental champion. It was cool to see RVD and Kane go in the Hall of Fame in the same class. I thought that was awesome, man. And of course, we saw how versatile Kane was. You know, he could be sick, twisted, and demented, and he could also be humorous and funny. You know, with the Team Hell No stuff. Corporate Kane, it was what it was, but you know, I think his career was so great that you can look past that stuff. Kane is. He's like, if you've ever seen a TV show where there's a character who's sick, twisted, and demented, but you still kind of feel bad for them, you still care about them because they were kind of dealt a bad hand. You know, that's the Kane character in a nutshell. So let's get into it. Let's talk about the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee. So the video from Kane's Hall of Fame induction somehow managed to cover all of the most biggest moments of his career, which there were many. Glenn Jacobs came out with the Kane mask in a glass case on the podium. He joked about how his mom once brought a sign to a show that said "I raised Kane." He said it was probably the best sign he's ever seen at a live event. Excuse me. He said that his one regret is the time that he missed with his wife and his kids, but he said his wife has always been his best tag team partner. Not Daniel Bryan, not RVD, not The Undertaker, but his wife, his best tag team partner. That's what's up. The Big Red Monster thanked everyone on the crew and in the production team for always making him look better than he actually was, and he thanked all the wrestlers that he ever worked with. This was real. This was so real for him. You know, Kane had an amazing career, and seeing him get his own induction was satisfying. He apologized for setting Jim Ross on fire. He spoke fondly of Paul Bearer and The Undertaker, and he set off his pyro like only he can, raising the hands and throwing them down one more time to end the show. Yeah, man, I do feel bad for a lot of these inductees. Like, usually at a regular Hall of Fame ceremony, like the host will come out and talk about the inductee and the person who's going to induct them. Then the inductor comes out, tells some stories about the inductee. Then we get the inductee speech, which that's what makes the Hall of Fame long. But it would have been cool to see, you know, Taker come out there and induct them. You know what I'm saying? Or Daniel Bryan come out there and make an appearance. You know, like get a hug for Team Hell No, something like that. But hey, man, all in all, it was cool. It was cool, man. Also, we have a list of people who got inducted into the legacy classes for the 2020-2021 Hall of Fame. Baron Michele, Michele Leone. I'm butchering his name. I'm sorry. Brickhouse Brown, Dr. Death, Steve Williams. Also, we know Dr. Death. Big in the UWF, big in WCW, teaming with Terry Gordy, winning tag titles. He was supposed to win the oh my God, what was it called? What was it called? The boxing tournament that culminated at WrestleMania 15. You guys know what I'm talking about. I'm Brawl for All. There we go. We're yeah. He was supposed to win Brawl for All, but he got knocked out by Bart Gunn. We have Gary Hart. He was a manager for Terry Funk and so many others. Ray Stevens. He ran the promotion out here with he was a big star out here in San Francisco with Roy Shire and the late Pat Patterson. Congratulations to Ray Stevens. Dick the Bruiser. Heard stories about him. Ethel Johnson, the first African American woman to be mainstream in wrestling. She was I think she was the first ever African American person to main event a show. Like her and three other African American women went out there and had a fatal four way back in I think it was 1955. Yeah, I think she was only like 18 or 19 years old at the time. So congratulations to Ethel Johnson. That was a super surprise. We also have Fez Whatley, Buzz Sawyer. I've heard a lot about Buzz Sawyer, and Paul Boesch. I think that's how you say his name. I'm sorry, but yeah, man, that's it for the 2020 and 2021 Hall of Fame induction ceremonies. It was awesome to see a lot of these people get their just due. Congratulations to everybody that's gone into the WWE Hall of Fame for 2020 and 2021. I hope you guys enjoy WrestleMania weekend. Bulletcast is coming at you on Thursday, which is tomorrow. Enjoy NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver Night 1 tonight. Brandon and I will be recapping both nights tomorrow night after Night 2 is done. I'll catch you on In the Click for some talk about WWE and AEW. Stay clean, stay strong, stay safe, stay quarantined. Diamonds are forever. So is the Microphone Messiah. Once again, congratulations to everybody who was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2020 and 2021.
This has been the Bulletcast. Thank you for listening.